Hello, my name is Corinne Goodwin, and I am the Executive Director and founder of Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project. And if you're joining us today, it's because you're interested in completing a legal name change here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We're here to help you with that. So let's get started by talking a little bit about the Eastern PA Trans Equity Project and what we do. We have a mission of empowering transgender people, building community, and promoting social justice. And our programs stretch across 42 counties in eastern and central Pennsylvania. If you're a transgender, gender expansive, or non binary person, or the person who loves a transgender person, we likely have a program to help you. Our programs fall into four categories. First are supportive services and mentoring programs. This includes over 20 monthly peer-led support groups, as well as pop-up social opportunities, an info line, and more. We do a lot of work in advocacy, both in our local towns and communities, as well as across the state, as well as educational programming, just like the one you're watching now. And finally, we have our empowerment grants and scholarship programs. And that's where our legal name change program comes into play for you. We offer residents of our service area the opportunity to apply for mentoring, to get financial assistance with their legal name change, as well as free downloads of court documents and step-by-step instructions so that they can represent themselves in court. And we hope that you will be able to take advantage of these opportunities as well. So let's get started with learning about how to complete a legal name change here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. First thing we want you to know is that we've helped hundreds of people with our legal name changes, but we are not attorneys. And so we're asking you to take time to learn about the program so that we can help you. This series includes 6 videos. Part 1, which is this module, is around is a legal name change right for you? We'll then move on to a discussion about the legal name change process in more detail. We'll talk about how to complete and submit documents to the court system. We'll review the publication requirement along with waivers of publication and judgment or financial background searches. We'll then move on to your final court hearings and next steps, followed by how to update your legal identification once your name change has been complete. Today's agenda includes, is a legal name change absolutely necessary for you? Things that we want you to think about or considerations before starting the process, and then we'll finish up with how you can get assistance. Just to begin, we'll have a legal disclaimer. We want you to understand that by watching this video, you are not engaging with Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project as your attorney. If you have specific legal questions, you can reach out to us, but we reserve the right to refer you to an attorney if necessary. Additionally, this presentation is focused solely on completing the legal name change in the state of Pennsylvania for Pennsylvania residents. If you live outside of Pennsylvania, maybe in New York or New Jersey or Maryland, then you need to be seeking a legal name change in the state where you reside. Every state has a slightly different process for legal name changes, so you'll want to reach out to an organization in your state. So let's begin with how do you use your name? Most people use their name in casual situations day to day. This could be going to dinner with family or friends, playing video games with your friends, or going out to a movie, or other day-to-day interactions, for example, conversations at work or at school. In the United States, you can use whatever name you want in casual situations like these. Matter of fact, many people have a nickname, and that's the nickname that's used in these conversations. If you really just want to make sure that your chosen name is used in these situations, you really do not need a legal name change. However, there are some situations where you will need to share your legal name with others. If you're going to a restaurant, you might get carded when you're buying a drink, or if you're in the grocery store buying a bottle of wine, you may need to show legal ID that includes your legal name as well as a gender marker. Same thing if you're buying a cell phone under contract or signing any contract. That must be signed under your legal name. Some cold medicines and prescriptions require a legal identification when you go to pick them up. The first time that you vote in the state of Pennsylvania, you'll have to show legal ID. We all know that when you go through airport security, you'll have to show your legal identification, as well as for when you're hired for a job or applying for an apartment, and especially in interactions with the police. This can include something as innocuous as a traffic stop to more serious matters. In these situations, when you have to show your legal ID or share your legal name, you could be outed as a transgender person, and that can feel uncomfortable and stigmatizing. Beyond that, it could also place you in physical danger depending on the situation. So we often recommend that you do in fact carry through with a legal name change. So, who can get a legal name change? The short answer is virtually anyone. Men, women, non binary, any gender expansive person can get a legal name change for the most part, whether you're transgender or cisgender. Matter of fact, most legal name changes done through the court system are for cisgender people. Whether you're an adult or you're a minor under the age of 18, you will have an opportunity to complete a legal name change. The only real restrictions are for certain people who've been convicted of very high level felonies. And we'll go into that in more detail in a few minutes. Before moving ahead with a legal name change, we want you to think about a few things. And the first is, how comfortable are you with your chosen name? Have you been using it for more than a few weeks? If so, then it's fine to move ahead. But if you're not really convinced, if you're not sure, we would encourage you to hold off for a little while, because once you complete that legal name change in court, it's really a forever thing. We want you to think about how radical a change you may want for your legal name. You can choose your legal name to be pretty much anything you want, as long as it isn't something that is deemed offensive. For example, you couldn't change your name to the N word. But you can change your name to whatever you like. But if it's something highly unusual, a judge may simply ask in the court hearing, are you sure that you want that to be your name? Or they might ask you why you chose that name. They will still grant the legal name change. Another question you might want to ask yourself is, will my chosen name fit on my driver's license? Sometimes we have people that choose to have a first name, several middle names, and then a last name. And that may not fit on a driver's license or a passport or other legal identification. If that's the case, we would encourage you to think about having, a first name, maybe one middle name, and then your last name. Again, in casual situations, you can use whatever names you want on an ongoing basis, but think about whether or not it will actually fit on your legal identification. And then the last thing you want to consider is, do you want to change all or just part of your name? You can change your first name, last name, middle name, pretty much whatever you want. Another item we want you to be thinking about is, are you able to invest time and effort? The name change process takes about 60 to 120 days, with an average being around 90 days. If you're representing yourself and not using an attorney, you are going to have to make multiple trips to the courthouse. You're also going to have to appear in 2 hearings with a judge. So think about whether or not you have the time and the effort needed to complete the name change at this time in your life. An attorney can ease some of this burden. For example, they can go to the courthouse and submit your applications to the court. They can complete your financial background checks and other parts of the paperwork process. But they cost money, typically between $1,500 and $2,000. You should also think about your tolerance for paperwork and bureaucracy. The typical name change packet that you're going to download from Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project is about 30 pages long, and it includes detailed instructions on the process, as well as multiple pages of legal forms that need to be filled out. You're also going to be dealing with the bureaucracy of the government in your county, and they have little tolerance for errors. So you're going to need to make sure that you spend extra time making sure that all of your court documentation is filled out properly. We are here to help you with completing those documents, or you can use an attorney again if that's your choice. You also need to think about your criminal and financial background. Pennsylvania law requires that anybody who is getting a legal name change get a financial background check. It also requires that people get a criminal background check. This is because the state is concerned that people may be choosing to change their name in order to avoid paying bills or to avoid a criminal history. This is usually not a big deal. And most people, it doesn't matter if you have some credit card debt or some medical debt, you will pass the financial check with the judge. However, if you have been convicted of certain felonies, or you have unpaid fines, or have repossessions or judgments against you assigned by a court of law, you may not be successful. And in these cases, we would urge you to have a more detailed conversation either with our mentors or with an attorney to make sure that your legal name change will be successful. You also need to think about the publication requirement. Pennsylvania state law requires that anybody getting a legal name change publish their intention to change their name in 2 newspapers of general distribution in your county. This usually includes your county law journal, which is published by the Bar Association in your county, as well as a standard newspaper. These advertisements read like the one that you see on the screen, and they will say that, for example, Jane Doe is changing their name to John Flynn. And that can out you as a transgender individual. The good news is these ads are very small. They're in the back of the newspaper in the classified section, and few people read these legal notices. On the other hand, it does out you as a trans person, and these ads now live forever on the internet and are available by searching on Google. The good news is that you can petition to the court to waive this requirement on the grounds of a concern for your personal safety. And many, many times our clients have been successful in getting that waiver. But this is something that you do want to think about as a potential risk of getting a name change. You also want to think just a little bit about the location for where you're going to file your paperwork with the court and what county you're going to pursue your name change. For most people, you're going to file in the county where you reside. So, for example, I live in Lehigh County, and I filed for my legal name change in Lehigh County Court. However, you may live part-time in one part of the state and part-time in another part of the state, or even part-time outside of our state. So, for example, if you're a college student and your home where your family lives is in Allentown, Pennsylvania, you will have the option to pursue your legal name change in Lehigh County. But if you're also going to school out at State College to Penn State, you'll have the option to file for your legal name change in Center County. And you'll have to make a decision on what is best for you, taking things like the amount of time and effort involved, family support, as well as how successful things like waivers are on a county by county basis. Our mentors here at the Trans Equity Project can help you with making that decision by giving you guidance and information on the court process in the counties within our service area. I do want to stop for a moment and just talk a little bit about name changes for minors. For people aged 8 to 18, you will need to go through the court process in order to complete a legal name change. And the process is by and large similar to that for adults, but there are a few differences. The first one is the child's parents or guardians should petition the court on behalf of their child. Additionally, judges have a special duty to act in the best interest of the child. As such, they may require additional convincing to grant the legal name change petition. Therefore, we recommend that both parents act in support of the legal name change, either by both petitioning at the same time or having a letter written to the court sent by certified mail stating that they are in support of the legal name change. If possible, we also recommend having a therapist write a letter in support of the legal name change of your minor child. And if the child is getting medical treatment, for example, puberty blockers or hormones, then you may also want to have your physician write a letter in support. In all cases, we strongly recommend that both parents attend every single court hearing, and in fact, bring everybody with you. Bring grandma and aunts and uncles so that the judge knows that your family supports this legal name change. If you are an immigrant, green card holders can get a legal name change in the state of Pennsylvania, as well as naturalized citizens. However, it's important to note that that legal name change only applies in the United States. If you are, for example, an immigrant from Italy and you are a permanent resident, a green card holder here in the United States, you can get a legal name change and then apply to have that name change applied to your green card and your permanent residency. But in Italy, you will not be recognized as your new chosen name. You would have to apply for a legal name change using the Italian legal system. There is an interesting loophole here, is that naturalized citizens, people who are ready to naturalize and become a full American citizen, can actually get a legal name change done at no cost. So if this applies to you, this is something to think about as you work through the system. As mentioned twice earlier, certain restrictions apply for people who are convicted of felonies. People who have been convicted of any felony cannot pursue a legal name change in the state of Pennsylvania until at least 2 years after the completion of their sentence. That includes any time for incarceration, as well as any time for parole. So the clock starts ticking for that 2 years after you have completed your sentencing. Additionally, people convicted of certain high-level felonies, this includes homicide, sexual crimes, arson, robbery, or aggravated assault, may not change their name under Pennsylvania law. This is starting to change, and a few people have won a legal name change who have had convictions for these crimes. But it has always been done on appeal. And if this applies to you, we would strongly encourage you to engage the services of an attorney to pursue your legal name change. Finally, there's a matter of cost. Typically, if you are representing yourself, what is called pro se, the cost is going to be between $250 and $600. In certain municipalities, the price could be a little bit higher because of the cost of publication in those counties. If you feel that you need a lawyer or that you want a lawyer to complete your legal name change with you, the cost is probably going to fall between $1,500 and $2,000 because you're paying the lawyer for their time. You do have an additional option to help reduce cost, and that is called filing in forma pauperis. This is where you are certifying to the court that you literally have no money. You can apply to the court, appear before a judge, provide them with detailed information regarding your finances, and they may make a decision to waive the court fees. If you apply for in forma pauperis and are approved, this could save you between $150 and $200. However, you will still need to come out of pocket to cover costs of publication, the costs of fingerprinting, for financial background checks or judgment searches, and any fees for updating your legal ID, like your driver's license. Remember, you have to prove need and appear before a judge to get that approved, and it won't cover all of your costs. Therefore, many people pursue other options, and this can include pro bono representation. For example, the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, which is now called Advocates for Trans Equality, they have a special program for residents of Philadelphia and Allegheny counties, which includes Pittsburgh. You do have to prove need, though. Many colleges or law schools, like Temple Law School in Philadelphia or Dickinson Law School in Carlisle and Cumberland County, offer free name change clinics to help you with your paperwork. The same goes for many county bar associations where you can apply for pro bono or free legal help. And then, of course, many LGBTQ centers or health clinics provide basic advice or legal clinics, along with local legal aid services like Mid-Penn Legal Services or Northwestern Legal Services or others. Most of these services have limited bandwidth, and you will have to apply for their assistance, and they may or may not approve it. And then finally, there are grant programs. This includes the grant program from Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project. We cover 42 counties in the state, and if you are a transgender person living in our service area, you can apply to us for not only financial assistance, but other help with your legal name change as well. Additionally, Trans Lifeline offers a national grant program where they provide grants to a limited number of people each month. We want you to know that we are here to help you. That includes providing you with all the court documents and step-by-step instructions that you will need to complete your legal name change in any county within our service area. You can apply via our website for a mentoring call. These calls typically last 30 to 50 minutes and include where we will walk through the process with you verbally and then answer any questions that you may have. Additionally, you will then be given a contact information number where you can reach out to us to answer questions that you may have along the way. And finally, you can also apply for financial assistance, where we will be able to cover, if approved, most of the cost for your legal name change. We've helped hundreds of transgender Pennsylvanians complete their legal name change. We think it is something that makes a tremendous difference in the quality of life for a transgender person, and we want to help you. So, in summary, today we discussed that legal name changes are not a requirement for a transgender person. You can use whatever name you choose on a casual day-to-day basis with friends, family, coworkers, and others. However, there are times when a legal name change makes sense because for things like signing contracts or having to deal with law enforcement or TSA, you are going to have to show your legal ID, and it's a good thing to have your legal name affirmed in law. The legal name change does require time, money, and effort on your part, but there are organizations that can help. Thank you so much for attending today. The next segment will be the process overview. Well, we'll go into some detail about the various steps that you'll need to fulfill for completing your legal name change. Thank you so much for attending today. We hope to see you back soon.